I'm going to be very honest today, guys. We have some very tricky situations to talk about, and it has to do with UGC copying. And this situation has gotten so big that there are multiple creators putting their opinions in, people fighting back and forth. And honestly, I've never made a video where I don't necessarily have a super strong opinion, but I don't know who's in the right or who's in the wrong. And so I want to share this so you guys can help me decide because I don't know. I feel like to a degree, everyone's a little bit wrong and everyone's also a little bit right. So we're going to go over the situation and talk about it, and then we can go from there. Now, typically I will censor any usernames when I have them in my videos. However, for today, I feel like this issue has spread so much that people are going to know who it is regardless of if I censor it or not. So I might as well give these UGC creators a shout out, mainly because they're all very, very talented. It sucks that they're, kind of going back and forth and fighting a bit. I think both these creators are very talented individuals. However, we're going to get into it. And there's also Dory, the person who makes the artwork for Dressed and Press, who's kind of involved in this, I guess. So we're going to get into all of it. Now, basically, I originally came across this whole situation because this post made by a creator called Chrissy. Now, I actually have previously been looking at a lot of Chrissy's artwork and stuff on Twitter just because I really think their stuff is really, really cool. I would recommend you guys go check them out. But regardless, basically, Chrissy posted this earlier today, and they wrote, well, I'm pre-recording this, so earlier today, probably yesterday if I post this tomorrow. And Chrissy writes, the fact that some bottom feeder on Roblox can just download your UGC assets within 5 clicks, heavily edit it, and re-upload it 20 plus versions of it as their own should not be possible. Roblox, please start making UGC assets more private because I don't really enjoy starting my mornings off by submitting 24 DMCAs. So if you guys don't know what DMCAs are, they're basically copyright infringement notices where you can basically send a message saying, hey, take this down or I'm going to sue you. And then they have some time to take it down. However, Roblox's DMCA system is notoriously bad at moderating and, actually protecting creators. There's a massive issue with Roblox typically favoring theft over creator integrity, which I think is really unfortunate. However, that is just, I guess, the kind of environment, which is really obviously not great. Now, basically, Chrissy attached a picture of their original UGC face. So as you can see, Chrissy's an artist and they made this UGC face, and then they attached a picture of this person's Roblox profile, which I am just going to blur because they don't need to be getting harassed. But basically, if you take a look, you can actually see that Chrissy's UGC face is incredibly similar to these ones. Sometimes you can argue, they edited it, but it looks like here, the only thing they added was blush maybe compared to this face, but everything down to the highlight in the eyes, the eyelash length, just the composition, style, everything, very, very, very similar. And obviously, Chrissy has uploaded various UGC faces. This one was just an example of, one of the base UGC faces, I guess, she has uploaded. And then the rest are all just, copies of other faces that she's uploaded, which obviously I think this is a pretty clear violation of their intellectual property. And it's not great. It's not great. Now, if they go into this other creator, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to say their name either, but this person is also incredibly talented. I think we'll just call them Viega? I don't know. We're gonna call them V. But basically, this other creator is also a UGC creator. And after seeing Chrissy's post, they went ahead and made their own post. Now, this post reads, I'm not trying to make posts like this anymore, but I talked to Chrissy about her constantly copying my UGC and Dory's artwork privately a year ago, which, side note, this person, is mutuals or friends with Dory. And Dory is the person who actually does, to my understanding, all of Dressed and Press's avatar drawings, the Lana drawings, the drawings that you see on the blind boxes and stuff like that, which obviously Dory is an incredibly talented artist. I know a lot of artists really look up to them, and I think their artwork's awesome. Now, this person, is friends with Dory or something like that, and I'm not exactly sure if Dory also confronted Chrissy for allegedly copying, or what is the situation here. However, these two accounts, this V person and Dory, are still interacting, so I would assume they're close friends or something, but I'm not quite sure. Anyways, so they say Dory's artwork privately a year ago, and I found myself having to do it again today. She refuses to cooperate or have a conversation, so here we are. At Roblox, please start hiding my UGC from Chrissy. I'm sick of being copied. Now, they basically made I would almost it's obviously meant to be funny, but a copy of Chrissy's call-out post, but towards Chrissy. And basically they have these 3 pictures that they've highlighted. Now, the first one is this one of a face. It's called Faceless Makeup Head Customizable, and it's basically just has a chiseled jaw, it looks like, and ears, and they're basically saying that Chrissy's faceless baddie makeup doll head is a copy, which I'm going to be very transparent here. They look very similar. However, it's just a face, and Chrissy's is longer. I understand that, you know, they're obviously very similar. And I see like some, like kind of in the cheek, it looks like it's almost the exact same angle, but there is some differences between them. And I don't know who owns the rights to like a bare face, but I guess if there's like a track record of copying, then any other like slight thing that looks like copying would be much more impactful. I know how that feels because sometimes I'll see somebody copy a thumbnail and I'm like, oh, like it's a small thing. And then I realize they keep doing it and it makes me, I'm like, oh, like you're actually copying. But regardless, I kind of understand where this person's coming from. And the next one, they have this one, even better, mink Latina makeup face, customizable. And this person says, mean Latina makeup, customizable. Mean Latina. Basically, these are obviously very similar as well. However, we will get to a point in a little bit later in the video, which I do agree with to a degree. To what degree do creators own the rights to makeup looks? And that's kind of where I get iffy with this whole situation, because I can identify there's similarities between a lot of UGC content. However, I think it's important to be able to separate, you know, blatant copying or malicious copying from just coincidences and people using the same trends and stuff like that. And this makeup, at least Latina makeup, this kind of makeup here, has been very popular on TikTok in like the past year. So I've seen a ton of UGC creators make faces of them, but I can understand these are obviously very similar looking. The eyebrows are very similar. Eye shape, lips with like the shading around the lips and stuff like that. So I can understand where this person's coming from a little bit, but we will get more into it later. And then this other one over here, which is a cute and trendy preppy makeup face. And the Chrissy creator labeled hers Freckled Mean Girl Makeup Light. So some of them had similar names, but this one's like very different name. And I guess the similarity is that it has green eyes and the eyelashes, because the eyelashes look pretty similar as well, but the eyebrows are different. They have a angle to them, and the lips are a completely different color. However, the lips do look similar the way they're drawn, but side note, I follow Dory on TikTok on my personal account because I really like looking at their artwork, and they do have some tutorials on how they do lips and eyes and stuff like that. And I'm not saying this person used that tutorial, but these lips look similar to, I guess, Dory's lips. So I feel like the argument, oh, they're copying Dory or they're copying someone, which I know this person's accusing Chrissy of copying themselves, V. But in this situation, I'm kind of like, it just kind of looks like people used a tutorial and then, can you crucify someone for using a tutorial? I don't know. But regardless, they basically took a screenshot of Chrissy's profile and said, thief, let's not be a hypocrite, with a winking emoji, which a little bit passive aggressive. And they basically just quote tweeted Chrissy's original post. Now, here is where the back and forth comes in, and this is where it gets even more confusing. Chrissy responds to that post and says, the fact you quoted a serious post when I was trying to raise more awareness about actual UGC thieves to make such a petty and baseless accusation against me is crazy. Yes, a year ago you sent me a long, passive-aggressive paragraph about how I, quote, copied one of your chibi faces and had your Twitter friends cuss me out. I showed you the reference I had used and thought it was all over with, but I see you still hold a grudge against me an entire year later. Which, ooh. I definitely don't condone cussing people out. If that is the case, that's not nice. Let's not bully people. And important note, they identify here that it was because of one of their chibi faces. And they include a picture of the chibi face later on, and I was really confused, so just wait for that one. But they go on to say, you know better than anyone, having been a creator on Roblox for years, that there will coincidentally be UGC items that look similar. In a marketplace so endless, it's something impossible to avoid, especially with something as niche as 2D makeup faces, which, I'm gonna be honest, I agree with Chrissy a little bit here. I'm not picking sides per se, but this is a valid point. And again, it's like makeup, how different can you make it? I obviously, if they have the exact same eyebrow tilt and stuff like that, and it's like you overlay them on top and they're the exact same, that's different, right? I think the point Chrissy was trying to make was that someone is directly stealing her artwork and maybe adding some blush and calling it their own. It's different than copying and pasting something than redrawing something that's kind of like a similar layout. Still not necessarily ethical, I guess you could say, when you're like selling, but it's, you know, how like capitalism works. That's what capitalism is. But Chrissy goes on to say, a big creator as yourself shouldn't ostracize smaller creators over something like this and make them feel inferior like you did to me today or a year ago. Which I'm gonna say, that's a pretty impactful line. Also important to note that this V person, which again, I just don't want to mispronounce her name. I'm just trying to be respectful. But they are part of like the Roblox community, what do you call it? Like, not club, but like the program where they basically give Roblox feedback and stuff. And so I think a creator in that program, obviously you have a lot of influence, and I think you can use that for the greater good, and hopefully, I don't know, with this whole situation, V can maybe talk to Roblox and help, all UGC creators find a better solution for the DMCA takedowns and stuff like that. I don't know, but I think there is some good that can come from this. It doesn't have to be a negative experience. But regardless, Chrissy goes on to say, that being said, I did not reference or copy the UGC makeup faces made by you or your team. Below are the exact references I used when I made the makeup a year ago. Please don't adjust me again. Thank you. Heart emoji. The past aggressive 2000s emojis are cracking me up. This Sherlock. I'm sorry. They're both funny. I have to say, these guys both have a great sense of humor. But basically, they attach this image, which I took a bigger screenshot of. But they have this face, mean Latina makeup, customizable. And if you take a look at the reference photos, it looks exactly like the reference photo, especially the one on the left here. I think that one, it looks so similar, especially the eyebrows. I would say they did this face. It doesn't look similar enough to the other face for me to say they copied them, because the eyebrows, they are the exact same as this reference. The lips are basically the exact same as the second reference, so I guess they used the second reference for the lips, the eyebrows for the first one, the eyelashes, or it looks like maybe the eyelashes are from the second one, but the eye shape is from the first one. But regardless, you can obviously tell that they're not just BSing here, this is the reference they used. I wholeheartedly believe that. And then they go on to say, for the freckled mean girl face, they have this one right here where it says they use these two references, which one is Sabrina Carpenter, which you can see by the eyebrows, with her eye color, and then they use this girl's eyelashes and the lip shades and stuff. So I think that's a pretty valid thing to say. They also compared the two faces side by side, which when you look at them side by side, I will say, I don't think V is completely out there saying that they think they were copied, because side by side these look very, very, very similar. But when you put in context with the obviously Pinterest photos that this person used as a reference, it's kind of did they use maybe the same reference and that's why they look so similar? I don't, if they were copying directly from this other creator, I really feel like they would have mimicked the exact same thing, like the gloss placement, exact highlight placement, stuff like that. I feel like it would have been just a lot more evident, especially with stuff like eyeshadow, in the lip colors, the lip colors would have been the exact same, and the blush shades would have been the exact same. And if you look really closely, you can see that the ones on the left have much more blush than the ones on the right. The right ones seem to almost have this bronzy undertone. Very beautiful, regardless, they're both really nice. But there's just some differences here that I feel like if someone was really copying, they would be the exact same. I don't know though. I don't know. But basically, they highlight the differences. So on theirs, or the other person's work, it says no freckles, red/pink undertones. Oh, they already mentioned that. In blush and lips, straight eyebrows, highlighted inner corners and forehead. Yeah, I didn't even notice the highlighted forehead. That's actually a good point. And on theirs, it says freckled, brown undertones, strong eyebrow arch, dark winged eyeliner, thinner corners, literally no highlighter. There is no highlighter. They're right. And this one, glossy lips, dimmed eyes, thin black brows, brown/pink ombre lips. Yeah, and then this one, matte lips, which it has a little bit of gloss. I'm sure matte. Highlighted eyes, which, yeah, they do have highlights on the eyes. Thick brown brows. There's a color difference. And brown lips. So I think this is super useful to comparing the two. They do look similar, so I can understand. But I feel like when you put it beside and in context with the stuff that you used as a reference, I think it looks more like the reference than the other UGC creators' content, but that is just my take. Now, they wanted to say that the face I apparently copied a year ago, by the way. So this is what they're referencing in the first message, where they say I was accused of copying something. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm so sorry. And, take it with a grain of salt. You never know. Maybe this wasn't actually the face, or maybe there's miscommunication and they were talking about another face. You never know, and so I'm not trying to crucify anybody. But these, in my opinion, look nothing alike. Nothing alike. Obviously, we didn't see the exact name of the second picture, so I'm not quite sure what, maybe they had the exact same names and that's what they were pointing out. But the eyes don't look aside from them being a chibi style, they don't look remotely similar. Literally completely different eyelashes, completely different coloring, completely different shading. The mouth is completely different. The blush placement is completely different. The eyebrows are different. Everything about this is different. The eyes also in the second one are much lower than the first one, it looks like, in my opinion. These do not look similar at all, in my opinion. Anyways, then we had some other people come out. This person by the name of Viral, which again is also a very talented UGC artist, writes, this is far from the first time Chrissy has done this either. In fact, she's even done it with my custom mugs inspired by my fave doll repainters, Lala Repaints. Sorry, I read that Laura for some reason. Lala Repaints Hextian that I made for myself and my friend BB for personal use. And if you look here, we can see that I guess those are the copies versus the originals. And I can say these ones do look a little bit more similar. they do look more similar. But here's my thing. When a creator, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm just only defending one person, but I'm trying to be fair here. When the original creator of these faces allegedly copied a real life like repainting, like something in real life that they didn't necessarily create, do they then own the rights to the recreated version that they made on Roblox that looks almost identical to the real life one? That's like I feel like it's like building like stairs in Roblox Studio and then saying nobody else can build stairs in Roblox Studio because you built stairs. You know what I mean? Like, I understand these look super similar, but the only reason I'm not like super, I don't know, convinced is solely because these are based off something that is in real life or like something that actually exists already. It's not like an original necessarily creation. It's based off of something that already exists. So I'm a little bit torn here. I don't know. You guys let me know. This one I'm kind of like 50-50 because they look super similar. But again, it's like, to what degree does another creator own the rights to something that they haven't, come up with themselves technically? Yes, they made it themselves, but they heavily reference something in real life. But that also brings me back to the references on Pinterest then. How much do each of these artists actually own the rights to these makeup styles? Is anything really truly original if you're copying it off of a real life person? You know what I mean? Like, that's what makes the situation so tricky. Now, this person writes, to my opinion, it's just taking inspiration from others. Used to do that as well, just remodeled it, retextured everything just to make it look like stuff that's best selling on the marketplace. That's the only way for people to reach the top nowadays. Which I have to say, unfortunately, not saying it's fair, but that's how capitalism works. Anytime you have a small business or maybe a boutique or something like that, there's always going to be other companies that rip off the same product, they copy it, stuff like that, which is why DMCA and copyright is so, so important. And it is unfortunate that Roblox's DMCA system is flawed, because if it wasn't flawed, then maybe creators could actually have a resolution through Roblox and figure this out and have like come to peaceful resolutions where they don't have to fight on Twitter. But I think it's unfortunate, but part of the nature of making anything, videos, content, products, anything, there's always going to be somebody who sees your success and wants to copy that. And I wouldn't necessarily take it as an insult, but more so as flattery. But at the same time, I can understand how that would be harmful and how this V person would be upset if you're seeing somebody who you feel is copying your stuff make sales for allegedly copying your stuff. That would be hurtful, and it would be agitating for anybody, right? Now, the V person response says, my UGC isn't uploaded so that other people can take inspiration and try to recreate it. If you want to take inspiration, open Pinterest. Don't try to recreate other people's best-selling items. It's unethical. Which, unethical, I would say immoral, maybe. The words are kind of interchangeable, but, I think, is it in poor taste to allegedly copy another creator when their items are doing well? Yes. Is that part of capitalism? Yes. Does it mean it's right? No. It's again, such a tricky situation, and I do think they have a valid point here. Take inspiration from Pinterest, and then that's what Chrissy is saying that they did, which is important to note because Chrissy's response post was posted before this comment was made. So I don't know if this person just didn't see Chrissy's post where she showed like, I took them from Pinterest, or if they just ignored it, or maybe that's what they're referencing, I don't know. But Chrissy did confirm that they allegedly used pictures from Pinterest, and that's what this person's saying people should do. So if Chrissy did that, then I guess there's no issue anymore. I don't know. Now, regardless, we had some other UGC creators weighing in, and this person's actually very popular. I had them in one of my other videos, but it was kind of like a controversial kind of thing, not with this person in particular, but the situation itself was just kind of iffy, so I didn't want to show their username. But this person by the name of Ray, who I would recommend you guys follow them if you're looking for like UGC updates and stuff, because they are very on top of it. But they basically said the whole makeup community is so toxic, no one owns makeup or chibi faces or any style of faces. Sorry, but that's the truth. Not really taking a side here because I love both of you, which I think Ray's speaking facts. I'm gonna be honest. I think Ray has a very good point. Now, the final thing we're going to read is from Abby, I think is how you say this. And they write, I want to start 2026 off well, so I'm going to put this nicely. We have had drama in the past over me saying you copied my item with good reason. I like to add my 2 cents that I do notice a lot of items are really similar to my friends, but if they don't speak up about it, it's not my place to do it for them. We have had a lot of back and forth a while back, and I do stand on everything I said. I don't take anything back. That said, I just don't care as much as before. I do, however, feel like you are able to improve on originality and how mature you act in certain situations. You could block me, but I won't because I really don't hold grudges. But at the end of the day, this is my opinion. I'm moving on. Peace and love to everyone in 2026, including you. Happy New Year's. Which, this was a response to Chrissy's post. I'm not gonna be honest, It seems like there's like a lot of people that I guess have had issues allegedly with Chrissy and copying and stuff like that. But I try to take that kind of stuff with a grain of salt, mainly because as someone, you could say I'm a big creator, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm not. But as like someone who's been starting out in the commentary space and like making commentary videos, and some of those videos getting significant amounts of views, the amount of bigger creators I've had come in and steal stuff from me or accuse me of copying them, or a creator will see my video and immediately post the exact same thing, like stuff like that, and then I get harassed for it just because I'm the smaller creator. I do think there is sometimes bias, especially when people do have influence. I'm not necessarily saying that's what's happening here, but I think it is important to be mindful that maybe many people had an issue with this person and they do say for themselves that they are a smaller creator. I think it's more difficult to defend yourself when you are smaller. However, when you are a bigger creator, you tend to get more allegations, accusations, people coming for you because they want clout. So it kind of like is, I don't know, a tricky situation all the way around. And I think the best solution here is for everybody to treat each other with respect. I try to, like, whenever I see somebody copying my stuff, or like, I don't know, someone accusing me of copying, I just try to be as nice as possible to them. Just be kind, or just ignore it. Don't interact with it. I think when you instigate it and you start poking at other people, it makes other people think that you're problematic, and then it causes issues, which obviously as a commentary channel, people think I'm problematic regardless, but you know what I mean? Like, I just think the back and forth on Twitter and the past aggressive remarks from several people involved, it's just not needed. Let's uplift other creators, people who make content in this space. Although it may seem like they're competitors with you, I feel like you can lift each other up and be there to support each other. Of course, it sucks when you feel like your stuff is being copied, and I think you should be able to have a mature conversation with somebody when you feel like that's happening. But with this, when it's things like trending makeup trends and like looks on TikTok and Pinterest photos, I feel like it's very hard to claim ownership over that stuff. Obviously, it's different if your exact like pictures or stuff are directly taken and someone just adds blush and then posts it. I think that's very different, which is why I do think Chrissy's original post is valid. But regardless, I would like to know your thoughts down below. And honestly, I don't think anybody's really in the wrong here or in the right. It's kind of like, it's just very, very, very tricky. And I would encourage you guys to go support all of these creators, because through doing this, I actually discovered a ton of very talented UGC creators, and I immediately went on a spending spree after I did this research. And I would definitely recommend that you guys check all these creators out too, because they have some really cool items. So regardless, do not send anybody hate. I just want to know your guys' thoughts and what you think is like the line between copying inspiration and just general use. Let me know down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye!